Let's talk about big bank earnings. Give a cautious green light of the economy. And every quarter, we get pretty excited about listening to and reading about the things what banks have to say in the most recent quarter as they release their earnings. I'm primarily talking about J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo, the four big ones. We've had a couple large banks in our portfolio for years, and they have provided very useful information along with great returns as well.
That's so funny because we always talk about, it's not, tech. And I'm going to steal a little bit, I guess, from our portfolio. You look at like a JP Morgan Chase over the last, its performance is amazing. I mean, it's done so well. So, I mean, you can still do well outside of tech and different businesses is what we always look at. And in particular, when we looked at the most recent earnings and kind of listened to conference calls from these big banks, I mean, they were happy with the fact that there were low rates of consumer delinquencies, and the amount of debt they wrote off as unrecoverable stayed around the same as last year. And I'll point out, that was a good level.
Yes, very good level. Yes.
It's like, it stayed about the same at a terrible level. That's not good news, but at a low level, it's good to see. And we've talked about this, but one banker made a comment that with a 4.1% unemployment rate, it's not likely to see a lot of weakness in their portfolio. And, we continue to think that as the employment situation remains strong, I just think the economy should do well. People, if they're making money, they have jobs, they have incomes coming in, about that debt out there, you should be able to pay off that debt, or at least make the payments on the debt. There are always going to be people that over leverage themselves, unfortunately may lose their job. But as a whole, I still think we're in a good spot. And it irks me when you hear, the economy's not doing well because of, student loans. Well, student loans are such a small piece of the puzzle. Even auto loans, you hear that one more frequently as well. Auto loans aren't doing well. To me, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it's not like the mortgage crisis because it's such a small piece compared to how big mortgages were. Too, mortgages are 30-year loan. Auto loans are generally like 5-6 years, and it's on a depreciating asset, so it's not going to cause the same type of catastrophe that the mortgage crisis did.
And the reason we get excited about this is because we've been talking about this, but when the banks come out with confirmation, and again, and your credit cards are generally the first thing people stop paying on. Yeah. You said that's about the same as last year, the debt. So that's fine. I mean, this is why we look at these things, because you can always find somebody like, it's very difficult for them and so forth. Of course it is. But as a whole, we have a very big economy. You have to look at all the population and say how it's doing. That's why we love reading what the banks have to say, because each quarter it's that nice update on the consumer.
And banks can't lie.